Pope Leo's warning about the dangers of artificial intelligence is drawing reaction all around the world. Monday's declaration in the form of an open letter said this: "We cannot consider AI to be morally neutral." CBS News contributor, best-selling author, and Harvard professor, his name is Arthur C. Brooks, not to be confused with any other Arthur Brooks you know. Arthur C. Brooks wrote the foreword for an English print version of the Declaration. We're very happy that Arthur's joining us in the studio this morning. How did you get to do this, Arthur?
Well, Ascension Press, which has the rights to publish the encyclical in English, called me last week, and I saw an advanced copy of the encyclical and read it and thought, boy, this is really going to have a big impact, and I was privileged to write that forward.
Privilege is a word. Very cool you got to do that. The Pope is calling for a moral approach to tech.
Yeah.
Is this possible? What is he saying here exactly?
What he's saying basically is this. It gets back not to technical direction, which is not the church's lane, but the ancient truths and biblical teachings. What it comes down to is that any innovation that we have, any human ingenuity, should make us more human and not less human. And that's the one big thing that we all need to remember. This encyclical is a letter from the Pope to the laity and to the people around the world that says, here's how you interpret this big, scary, confusing thing. Make you more of a human being with more love and more worship, not less. And that's the big rule that we should all take away from this.
Isn't it the fact that the Pope is concerned enough to speak about it? Doesn't that in itself send a message?
It really does. Now, this follows on Pope Leo XIII. He took his name from Pope Leo XIII, who was the Pope during the Industrial Revolution, the end of the 19th century, and wrote a very famous encyclical called Rerum Novarum on the rights and responsibilities of labor and capital. It was all about wage labor and communism and all these big ideas. And Pope Leo XIV says we need a new one about that because we have a post-industrial revolution. How are we supposed to behave? What are the mistakes we're not supposed to make? And he talks a lot to policymakers and technologists. But for all of us watching, all of us Catholic and not Catholic, need to remember what he's saying here is that if tech is a substitute for your human relationships, it's going to ruin your life. But if it's a complement, if it drives you closer to people, you use it in the right way, it can actually make you better off and maybe bring you closer to God. Speaking of tech, specifically these tech leaders, what effect, if any, could this have on Silicon Valley? I hope that it has a big impact because what it is, it's an understanding that people of faith all around the world are watching, that we're paying attention to how this affects our lives. Now, there's an expression in Silicon Valley right now. People say it's kind of a joke, but maybe it isn't, that we're building God. Now, that's a scary thing because you know what? You can't build God. It's, it's not that funny, is it? And that's why the Pope starts this encyclical with the Tower of Babel. The idea we're going to build the tower to the heavens and it ends in ruin, of course, because every time people try to do that, it ends in tears. That's a cautionary tale of human life, not just something about the Catholic Church.
So the Pope writes in the encyclical, so-called artificial intelligence does not undergo experiences, do not possess a body. He goes on to say, does not know from within what love, work, and friendship or responsibility mean. You write that we can use technology to bring those things closer together. And then you say, I'm quoting you, it is our choice. The question that people will have, and I have, is it really our choice when you make these technologies so available to us? So easy to use.
And so advanced. Yeah, no, for sure. Now, there are lots of things that seem like they take away our agency. You could think of alcohol or drugs takes away our agency. But, you don't abuse alcohol, but you're not against alcohol. And the same thing should be true about the way that we use tech. We can overuse it. We can misuse it. We can have it take over our souls. But we can also use it to draw us closer to people, to take the greatest ideas and spread them with education and love around the world. Here's the basic rule. Happiness is love. That's what it is. And love only happens in real life with real people and with God. And if we actually use AI to actually connect us with other people, to free us up, to have more love relationships, good. But if we actually use it as our best friend, as our therapist, and use it as a substitute for these relationships, then we're in trouble. Same thing with screens or any of these new technologies. You see kids at the playground with their parents, and their parents are looking at their phones. They're missing their lives. And it's the same kind of idea.
Even though the tech is in our hands, the power of what it does is also in our hands.
It's all up to us.
Arthur Brooks, thank you. Arthur C. Brooks, thank you.